We are at the very last week of International Women's Day, and the one of last year, the topic, the focal point was breaking the bias. The conversation was just what we needed at the time. And then the one of this year, a lot to do with embracing equality. I mean, this particular topic, well, because equality was added to, that phrase, it brought a lot of controversial conversations and all of that. I mean, we know that we can be fire and ice and every beautiful thing in between, every bobo tibo in between. Yes, that's the woman for you. We know this. We are naturals. We seem to forget that. We are naturals. Above all things, I think because we are naturals, we forget, and then we carry on the stress of Owanine. Hey, we forget to love ourselves above every other thing that we go through as women. And so I am here to encourage us, as beautiful as you are, don't forget who you are. Don't forget to love yourself. I saw an article, I read an article, and let's get into it. Hey, that's how whenever everybody's gathered, yes, like, we are always excited to talk to each other. So yes, on this one, menstrual side, MC, we said MC. So MC, Auntie Flo or Sister Flo, Mama Red, whatever you call it. Over here in Nigeria, we call it popularly Auntie Flo. And so Auntie Flo comes to a girl child from the age of 10, depending on how your DNA is wired, all through 50, later years of 50 or 60, depending. So Auntie Flo comes to us differently. Please, if you hear any noise, my children are all over me. They are actually trying to bully me into using this. This is a karaoke microphone, and I have said no to it. Let's manage the voice as it is. So like I was saying, on the article, this young man was questioning, why do we see period for so long? Is it not a waste of time that a child will see period for such a long time, only to use it for reproduction for 10 to, depending on how many children she has, for just 10 years of her life, but then she sees period from 12 to 50. Let me remind us as well, because his argument threw a lot of women on that article, on that conversation. It threw a lot of us off balance. In as much as we would want to say that we are tired of Auntie Flo does this to us. The whole cycle is broken down into 3 stages, if I am to put it that way. Let us not forget there is the reproductive stage, and that's the stage that this article talked mostly about. And then we go into the transition years. Your body's trying to, put things in order to prepare you for menopause. So your body carries you gently into this premenopausal stage. Well, that reproductive stage is the most active of it all. Hey God, my children and the noise. Normally we know that the flow should stay between 2 to 7 days, but then I've seen a lot of women who go through it for 10 days. Yes, I know, it can be annoying. I was talking about the reproductive stage, so that's where you have your whole hormones up, everything is bright and flowing, everything is glowing, everything is shiny. I mean, the flow is bringing what it should bring. And if I am to take our steps a little bit back into personal experiences, this is when your whole body is hurting. You don't even want anybody to touch you. I mean, the first 2 days of your flow coming, you're all irritated about everything, just like it will happen for you during pregnancy. And that's your body trying to tell you, this is how your pregnancy will come, this is how it might look for you, right? So but then I know it comes with a lot of other annoying things, like the pimples, like the puffy boobs, this bloating that hurts, and in as much as your body is preparing you for that reproduction, your body is also telling you so many things, because pregnancy in itself is not an easy feat, right? And so your body is trying to tell you, hey sister, this is how these things will come around to you when the time is right. And you on your own, you're already irritated, you're asking your body questions, you are hating the whole cycle. And this is also a good time to remember that the cramps is like 1/10 of what the labor pain for when the time comes, start now to know what works for you. And but then a lot of times we don't even listen to ourselves. We hate the system, the process, we hate the period, we cuss it out. I mean, children of the 80s, and I won't be surprised if some mothers still do it now. Your mom will call you by the side, and the only thing she tells you is, if you go to any boy and they touch you, you get pregnant. I mean, I know they are trying to run around the bush, or maybe not say it as it is. There are so many things. You can hold her hand to tell her, pat her by the shoulder, tell her this is womanhood. Now your body, you have to listen to your body. Your body has to tell you. It's now going to begin to tell you a lot of things about you. And I can't really explain these things because it comes to each woman differently. But I am here to hold your hand, to tell you as your mom that I got you, we got this together. I'll also want to learn how your process will be for you, and maybe you mirror your process with what mine is. A lot of mothers feel that every girl who goes through, in fact, before they get to this age, they should know in that if they are not anywhere near home, because this thing starts from the ages of 10, 11, 12, and by this time a lot of girls are out of primary school and into secondary schools. And so if this thing happens, unexpectedly in school, she knows how to hold herself. She knows that she's okay. I mean, the very first time I saw mine, I thought I was dying. So that's how oblivious I was to the whole situation. That's how unaware I was until it was time. And that has to be wrong on its own. Every girl child should be prepared. And when I say this, I also mean that you don't just tell her, hey, you know how you pad yourself and all that. I mean, that's all good. Also let her know that her body is going to prepare her in so many ways. Some of them may be as painful as you can imagine. So I mean, it's a big deal to have to bring another human being into life. And so following that process, a lot has to be put in place, a lot. And these things that we hit our bodies for are part of the things that are being put in place. So you have to sit that girl child down. Let me hear in the comment section, is there anything you did specially to control your cramps? In my own case, and I'm not saying this as a professional, I did a lot of, I have to just say that, right? I did a lot of hot water because I was still trying to understand my body. I didn't want to in fact, there are a lot of myth, right? That's what it's called, a lot of myth. And so it's important to know which works for you. There were so many things that girls were doing at that time. People were taking Fanta. Some will tell you, once I take sugar, it stops the cramp, it helps with the flow, it does this, it does that. I'm not here to say it does not work. I wouldn't know. I mean, girls were doing a lot. Some were taking alum to stop the oh my. Like I still keep saying mothers, fathers included too. Children, you find out they are at loss, they come to them, to each other, and that's where the wrong information keeps passing down. Like I was saying, so many of the girls, some of them too. So I was scared of all these things, and that turned out to be something I experienced for myself, especially for that young girl around you who is at loss, who doesn't know what to do, who needs guidance. You went through that stage, you know how it took you a while to understand your body and to learn some things. And then for us, the adults, to know that it is not a taboo to talk about these things. I encourage women who inculcate these activities into their daily routines. You see them going to schools to educate children. There was one that happened in Port Harcourt not too long ago, the engraced girl child, something like that. I'll look for it and put it somewhere. I mean, the next one they will do, I honestly will, because I found this thing quite late. I'm one that would love to talk about anything that has to do with, helping the girl child. I mean, God knew, excuse me, sir, he knew, he knew that, I will so pour into, like every other mother, right? Pour into any girl child around me if there were, but As it is right now, I'm on a boys I dey, and yes, I'm still pouring into them as much, myself and my husband, as much as we can. Show that affection, teach others. I mean, carry it forward, teach others how to, give these acts of service to other growing children, because it is good, it needed. I know some people at the back there now will gather. All these small children now that have opened their eyes, the fact that they look like they have opened eyes is even the much reason that you should, bring them closer to explain these things to them. I thank and I appreciate secondary schools that offer these opportunities, how to properly layer your pad, how to change it every 2 hours, because with what the economy is saying now, a lot of young girls will sit on this blood pool, let me just try to censor my word, for as long as the school period stays. Some of them might be shy to go to the toilets, to the convenience to help themselves out. See, there's this stigma that comes with it, especially if you're a child that yours came out on time and you don't know how to handle yourself, because in a group of friends, a group of girls in a school, some will see theirs before others, and some of these ones, if not properly introduced to these things, might have this shyness. They will be withdrawn. Remember that the menstrual cycle comes in different ways to different people, and so some experience depression during this time. So there's a lot to be talked about on this. Most importantly, the affection I talk about here is to tell young girls, hold their hands to show them how to wriggle out of these things in their own way. As younger girls are preferring tampons, there are risks attached to these tampons, so we have to talk about these things with these young girls. The difference between the tampon, the pad, and the menstrual cup, which is best, how to maneuver these things around your body. And remember why I'm targeting the younger ones is because there's a lot to be learned as much as you can, because I know there's a lot of people that are already doing so much. I want to encourage each and every one of us to do even much more, because there's still a lot to be learned. I mean, that article opened my eyes to see that there were so many things that people were talking about. If you take it down to pregnancy, I mean, there are some women who after childbirth, I mean, I've seen this one. After childbirth, she couldn't walk for up to 1 year, and then she had to learn how to walk again. I mean, these things come with a whole lot of, like I said, it is different for every woman on earth. There are some who, losing their memory. There are some who go as far as losing a whole lot of things. There was this complaint about someone who lost her sight. I've seen someone who couldn't walk for, I think, a year. So there's a lot, and all these things have their own expenses. It takes its toll on our bodies as humans, not to talk of the financial expenses behind it. You have to keep going to the hospital even though you have given birth. There's another underlying something that came with the pregnancy. It's a lot. I mean, it's not even something to laugh about, especially when you consider the expensive part of it all. The period itself is expensive, all the way down to when you now finally get pregnant. It's also expensive. In fact, everything about pregnancy is expensive. And when you say, "Oh, finally, I have thrown up the towel," hey, you know what? I've left that reproductive age. I've left the period clinical. I am now at the age of that menopause stage, right? It comes with its own challenges, its own expenses too. So there's no corner that you will go to that you will run away from the challenges and the realities. Or maybe if you want to take the birth control route, that on its own is also expensive if you consider how to maintain it and how to, or any other irregularities that most times come off of it. So there's a lot, not to talk about the hormonal imbalance, etc. The idea is to always remember that for the whole period that the woman goes through this menstrual cycle, it is divided into 3. There's that time when everything is at its high peak. The flow comes with a glow. You know, that reproductive stage, that stage also comes with a lot of preparation. I mean, your body is trying to prepare you for so many things. Like I said earlier in this video, your body is trying to show you how to cater to it. And even though this will not be easy, it is also trying to open up to the second stage. Anybody who is around a growing child at this time, a growing girl child at this time, should know that this is not the time to leave this girl by herself. Most times she is fatigued, most times she is tired, most times she is enduring one massive kind of pain that came from nowhere all of a sudden. I know you will say this is not rocket science, our mothers went through it. How did they go through it? All this cushioning we're talking about, all this that. This is a time that a lot of young people are becoming aware of their mental and psychological. I mean, they are going deeper into these things. So we have to tender softly, if I have to use that word. The point is, will it get easier? Maybe it will not, maybe it will, but your body is also trying to cushion you into the premenopausal stage, which is the stage where your body is trying to tell you, okay, now we're winding down to enter another wasbos, which we will not be going into today. So it's an interesting one. It's an interesting challenge, let me put it that way, but nothing that we cannot stand together to get to make better. There are people who have done these things and are probably like kind of pointing the torch. For example, there's this chef Babette. She carries us through how these things have been for her, what she did, and then medically there are still things that one can do to help alleviate whatever it is and do so safely. We have to kind of cut down on following trends, especially like I said, growing up, a lot of people did the potash thing. There's this trend also going on where a certain family is trying to I think the K family, let me put it like that, they are trying to still bring out this thing that it will help vaginal this, it will do this, it will do that particular ad. When the product came out, a lot of female doctors, OBGYN, a lot of international professionals came out to condemn the product, to condemn what it stood for, to condemn what it was portraying to young girls. And that was something I was excited to see, not because they want to tear down another woman's business, but because of what the product itself stood for in the society. And so these doctors, these women had to come out to clinically say that this is much more, this is what we should be standing against as women in the community. And that was commendable. Women need a lot of empowerment, to better ourselves. I mean, if you listened all through this video, you must have heard me say that period is expensive, pregnancy is expensive, menopause is expensive, hormonal imbalance, and how to cushion yourself around it expensive. So what you are hearing, apart from every other type of expense, is the other one, which is another important aspect, the money expense. And you cannot take away from that. It is here, it is, so when women go all out in their careers, they should be supported. When women go all out to become the best in whatever, they are the ones that need it the most. Because what is it that we do now that is not expensive? And I mean health-wise, not beauty-wise, because that there is that aspect too. Health-wise, what is it that biological-wise, and that is the way we are wired, not that we brought it on ourselves. This is how, as far as you're a girl in this world, as far as you're a female in this world, you already have these expenses on your head as a woman. And so if you look at it, empowered, and this is not me trying to sound feminist. So also I believe there should be a lot of mental reassessment, and then not to take away the mother power, that nurturing power. It's not something to, not want to embrace. Or more, embrace it fully with your full chest, like the mother hen that you are. On this note, I want to, send roses and flowers to every woman out there. May God keep giving us the knowledge and wisdom to keep doing what we do. Like and subscribe. Thank you so much. Let me know what you think in the comments, your challenges as a woman as regards these things. Thank you so much. Until the next one, God bless.